At the time of Seneca Falls, a woman had no legal existence. When married, she was absorbed into the person of her husband. Now, that would be fine if there were women who weren't married. But adult women were overwhelmingly married women, and they had no legal standing.
Married women could not sign a contract. If they worked outside the home, they couldn't keep their paycheck. It went to their husbands. If they dared to divorce, husbands retained custody of the children. The doors of public universities were closed to them. There were just many, many ways in which they were second-class citizens.
The Declaration of Sentiments, adopted by the Convention, had been modeled on the Declaration of Independence and included a list of resolutions outlining the rights to which women, as citizens, should be entitled.
Seneca Falls is the first very public demonstration and announcement that women are asking for a whole series of rights that they feel they've been denied. And it is considered really radical.
They're fighting for education, they're fighting for the right to own property. They wanted to be full adult American citizens.
Of the 11 resolutions put forward by Stanton, only one was considered so controversial that it failed to pass unanimously. Resolution 9, which demanded for women the right to vote, a right that had engendered equal controversy among the men who wrote the U.S. Constitution.
One of the remarkable things about the history of democracy in the United States is that the Constitution, in its original form, said nothing about the right to vote. When the Founding Fathers talked about we the people, they were talking about adult white males, and really adult white respectable males. They had different views about how broad the franchise should be. So instead of hammering out a consensus view, they punted and left voting rights to the states. In most states, the notion was that in order to have the franchise, you had to be independent in some economic and social sense. And women had very few opportunities to be independent.
Opposed by Stanton's husband and by her father, who threatened to disown her, woman suffrage found its first male champion in Frederick Douglass, who had escaped enslavement to become a leader of the abolitionist movement. From the abolitionist ranks also came the first generation of suffragists, Lucretia Mott, Lucy Stone, and Sojourner Truth, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, Sarah Remond, Susan B. Anthony, women for whom the two causes at first were entwined. When the conflict over slavery finally exploded into civil war, the suffragists set their own agenda aside to help secure rights for those who'd been enslaved, expecting, as Stanton put it, that when the constitutional door is open, we will avail ourselves of the strong arm and the blue uniform of the black soldier to walk in by his side. Their rallying cry now was equal voting rights to all. Instead, under pressure from congressional Republicans, the party of Lincoln, Stanton and her friends were asked in 1869 to support the 15th Amendment, which extended federal protection for the franchise only to African American men.
The suffragists truly believe, perhaps naively, that once the war is over, all eligible citizens are going to get the vote. They are shattered when they're told that the nation cannot handle two great reforms at once. They can't swallow black men getting the vote and women getting the vote at the same time. Frederick Douglass says, I believe in women's suffrage. I always will. But the black man needs it first. My people are being killed.
The question of compromise, once introduced, quickly became a wedge. If you will not give the whole loaf of justice to the entire people, Susan B. Anthony told Douglass, it should be given to the most intelligent and capable portion of women first. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was less civil. Think of Sambo, she fumed, who never read the Declaration of Independence or Webster's spelling book, making laws for educated, refined women.
Stanton and Anthony have constructed the debate around the vote as one that positions white women against African-American men. Stanton in particular has made the argument that she will not see former slaves, the sons of slaves, enfranchised over elite educated women. These are ideas that are not uncommon, but now racism is sort of in a full-throated way part of the deliberations.
In the end, the fragile coalition forged by the Civil War was shattered by the terms of the peace, and causes once regarded as compatible have been set in opposition, to be prioritized one over the other if expedient. As Frances Ellen Watkins Harper noted ruefully, when it was a question of race, I let the lesser question of sex go. But the white women all go for sex, letting race occupy a minor position.
People will go in one direction or another out of this debate, men and women, black and white. There are those who say we should remain committed to our ideals. And there's others who say this is politics and we need to compromise. And that has consequences far beyond any encounter in the vestibule of a meeting hall. This is mapping, right, political culture for the nation, for women, but for the nation.